Welcome, everybody. This is the latest episode of the T3 Alpha Show. My name is Michael Comeau, and today I am going solo to talk about earnings. Now, President Trump wants to get rid of quarterly earnings. He says that companies should only have to report twice a year because reporting earnings is a big burden on companies. Now, I used to work for a publicly traded company, and yes, quarterly earnings is a nightmare. It's a massive distraction from companies because all the C-level executives, the finance people, the investor relations people, the legal people are tied up like crazy for like a week every quarter. So that's 4 weeks a year. So I can understand why a lot of companies want to get rid of it. In fact, I bet you in his conversations with big executives, they probably tell him, I hate dealing with all this earnings stuff 4 times a year. Now, on the flip side of that, it would reduce transparency because we'd get less frequent updates, and that could mean more market volatility. So is it a good idea to get rid of quarterly earnings? I mean, personally, I don't know, but I would rather keep quarterly earnings just because I think it makes things more interesting to have more frequent updates. Yes, if earnings were twice a year, they'd be even crazier, but I think 4 times a year is a pretty good balance. Now, I want to get into the 7 problems I have with earnings season. But before that, I hope you comment, like, and subscribe to the show. We're up to about 160 subscribers on YouTube. We have over 6,000 views. Now, the bad news is we only have 8 followers on Spotify. No, not 800. We have 8. So I hope you will be number 9. And also, please leave comments. Much appreciated. Okay, so my first big problem with earnings season is how some companies report so late in the day. And I'm speaking specifically about NVIDIA and Apple, though I'm sure there are others. Now, I'm sick of waiting until 4:20 or 4:30 for these numbers to come out. I think there should just be a blanket rule that your earnings should be out by 4:10 p.m. Eastern time. This way, everybody gets the numbers early. People don't have to stay late. Now, I don't think this would be hard to implement because whatever scheduling tool they have, all they'd have to do is select 4:05 p.m. instead of 4:30 p.m. would make life a lot easier, more convenient. So we're not waiting around for 30 minutes waiting for numbers to come out. Now, number 2 is related to options trading. Now, this one might be controversial, but I think it could be helpful if options were trading until 4:30 p.m. or 5 p.m. Eastern time, because this way you don't have that situation where you have calls, the stock goes up like crazy after hours, and then it crashes before the open. So you thought you had a big gain, and then it just disappeared. So I think it would be helpful to let options trade later. Now, if you are an expert on options, especially in the mechanics of the market, let me know in the comments below if you think this is a good idea or a bad idea. Now, the biggest negative would be it would probably encourage a lot of reckless gambling. People would see an earnings release, jump on calls after hours, and then potentially get blown up because those options would probably be fairly illiquid after hours. But I think it's something that should be considered. Now, my third problem with earnings season is the inconsistency of guidance. Now, I think guidance universally should be upfront in the earnings released in the opening bullet points, because this is what the people really want. We don't want this giant list of disclosures and all these explanations of GAAP numbers versus non-GAAP numbers, all that stuff. For example, when a company like NVIDIA reports, we want the guidance. So just put it up front where we can see it right away. And also this whole thing with companies that will just have guidance on the call instead of in the initial press release, that's ridiculous. Like, I know Microsoft does that. It's really annoying. You know who does a great job with guidance? Amazon. They put the numbers very, very clearly in the press release. They have the dollar amounts and the percentages, so you don't even need to do any calculations, because that's another thing. Some companies will say things like, revenues are expected to grow plus or minus 2%. It's like, no, just put the numbers. Like, why are we playing this silly game? I don't want to do math. I just want to know what the numbers are. Now, number 4 is I hate that companies sometimes have these random fiscal years. For example, retailers like Walmart often have a January fiscal year, and this gets a little annoying because the calendar year and the fiscal year are different, and it's easy to get mixed up. Okay, is it Walmart's 2025 fiscal year or is it 2026? It's just a little annoying. So let's just put everybody on a December fiscal year. Makes life a lot more convenient. Now, I would imagine that back in the day, maybe retailers who have a really crazy December, maybe it's just really annoying getting all the numbers together right away, and maybe they want that extra month. Even so, they don't have to report right after the end of the year. They could put their earnings report in the third month of the quarter. So that would be March for Q1. Let them hang back, but just let's have the fiscal years and the calendar years be the same for everybody. Just make life way, way simpler. Number 5 is the disorganization of earnings dates. Now, there are some companies like Alibaba and Baidu are two I can think of offhand, where the earnings dates are just almost always wrong in public databases. And also, all these information providers have estimated earnings dates. So I think companies should just schedule their earnings dates at least 1 year in advance. So let's get rid of these estimated earnings dates and let's stop guessing. Now, they can move them around whenever they want, but just put the dates out there so we know exactly when the reports are hitting. This seems super, super simple. I mean, if we allow them to change them later on, this way we get rid of this whole estimated July 18th or whatever it is. Let's just know what the dates are up front. And this way, no more mystery. And this could be literally a spreadsheet with 8 fields with dates and times on them. Very, very simple. Solves the problem for everybody. Number 6 is the amount of jargon in earnings releases and also SEC documents. Now, I don't know if this should be an official rule, but I think there should be a recommendation to use plain English whenever possible, and also provide glossaries to improve the accessibility of all this information. For example, if somebody owns a bank stock and is looking at the Bank of America earnings release or the Citibank press release, like, what does net interest margin mean? Like, what do credit card delinquencies mean? Like, not everybody knows what these things are. So there should be a little glossary in the end. You know how there's all those SEC disclosures at the end of earnings releases that nobody ever reads? Like, why not have a glossary in place of it? Because there's all this legal stuff nobody reads. But if there was a glossary, it would really help people, that, especially ones that are new to the market, understand what is going on. Number 7 is how random language could be. Now, there are lots of little things where one company will say guidance, another company will say outlook. Let's universalize all that language so there's absolutely no confusion. You can always hit Control F on your computer to find a specific word. And also, a lot of people are using AI these days, so to read through documents and pull information out. So if the language was universal, that would make it a lot easier. So again, guys, those are my 7 issues with earnings season and my 7 solutions. Now, this is probably going to be one of the shortest podcast episodes ever, but let me know what you think. Am I off base here? Let me run through all 7 one more time and let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. Number 1 is companies should report earnings before 4:10 p.m. Eastern time. Number 2, options trading should be extended. Number 3 is company guidance should be right up front in the press release every single time, so we don't have to look for it. Number 4 is every company should have a December fiscal year, so the fiscal year is always the same as the calendar year. It makes life much, much simpler. Number 5, earnings dates should be set 1 year in advance, so there's none of these estimated dates, and again, we don't have to guess with Alibaba or Baidu. Number 6, all information should be in as plain English as possible, and we should have glossaries for people that are new to the market. And finally, number 7, all language should be universal. So again, guidance, outlook, whatever it is, just pick one word and tell everybody, use this word, make life easier for everybody. And guys, I hope you enjoyed this little mini episode. Like, comment, and subscribe. And again, if you're on Spotify, follow so we can get up to 9 whopping subscribers. No, not 900. 9. We're at 8. I would like to get to 10 soon. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this little episode.